So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Welcome back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Friday, December 11th. Hope everyone's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day. Yes, their day. It is, in fact, Friday, November 11th. We are officially now 2 weeks away from Christmas, which is always good. We got a lot of games to get through today. Thursday night game was on last night. Obviously, the first time I said in about 2 weeks since we had a Thursday night football game was last night. It was a pretty big blowout, to say the very least. It was a blowout. From start to finish, the Rams dominated this game from start to finish. So whatever way you want to say it, if you want to say they blew them out, they crushed them, whatever way you want to say it, pretty much every single word that describes that would fit in to the way what the Rams did yesterday to the Patriots. Patriots continue to struggle. Patriots continue to look questionable. Patriots continues to look rusty. This team just continues to look not the New England Patriots we're used to seeing. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm trying to compare the Tom Brady-led Patriots and the Cam Newton-led Patriots, but there is a very big difference. And I said it at the beginning of the year. I was expecting the Patriots to struggle. I said at best they go 7-9 or 9-7. They're on track to probably go like 7-9. I didn't think they were going to be awful. I didn't think they were going to be amazing. When they got Cam, it definitely made me think, a little bit more, okay, maybe they'll be actually decent. But even then, they're 6-7. And I think a lot of us have a good feeling that they are not going to make the playoffs. I mean, they definitely need to win their next 3 and then hope that somehow Indianapolis chokes, the Colts choke, and somehow the Dolphins lose their next. I mean, it's going to be so difficult. It really is. I think by this point their season is pretty much over. Even if they win last night, it's still so tough. Because the 3 teams ahead of you, one's a 9-3 team, the other one's 8-4, so automatically you're still like 2 games behind. And you only now have 3 games left in the season. So, it really is going to be interesting, to say the very least. It's going to be interesting. I think they'll probably finish 6-10, 7-9. But this Patriots team really struggled. We'll get into it, though. So these are the topics for today. We got the NFL game picks / Jets and the Giants. You already know every single week. I give you every single Friday. Give you the Patriots, or not the Patriots, give you the Jets and the Giants, the special preview for them. And I'll go throughout the NFL, give you my game picks for the upcoming weekend in football. All 16 teams play this week. Everyone is done with a bye week. So all 16 teams play this week, which is a chance for me to really get my record even higher this week. So that should be good. So a lot of games to get to. Then we got fantasy football overview. I'll give you stardom, sit-em, ads, benches, all that good stuff. Fantasy football last night was interesting. My one league, I had 20 from Rams defense. My other league, I only got 3 from Robert Woods. So it's an interesting position for fantasy. And my last topic's packed. I got college basketball, college football, Miami and the Kentucky. And then the NBA preseason starts tonight, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Nets. The Nets play later on Sunday. I'm excited to see what the Nets do this season. Obviously, they play later on Sunday. They play Sunday night. The Nets do. And tonight, there are like 4 games on. There's 4 games on. I don't know how many of them are on TV. I know 2 of them are on TV. I don't know about the other 3. But either way, it's still NBA basketball, so I'll probably either watch that or college or flip back and forth, all that good stuff. And in Miami, obviously, has a huge game tomorrow against North Carolina, and then Kentucky plays as well tomorrow. Perfect timing, because I'll watch the Kentucky game probably at 12. It comes on at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I'll watch the Kentucky game. That would end. It will end about an hour to an hour and a half from the Miami game, and then I'll watch the Kentucky game. Then about an hour later, the Miami game will come on. So perfect timing on that. So another packed weekend ahead of us with not just football, but with basketball and the NBA preseason. It's nothing amazing, right? The NBA preseason isn't really anything to get crazy excited about, but still, I kind of want to see what it looks like, what it feels like. I kind of just want to see what the NBA looks like this season. Is it going to look different? I mean, it's going to look different, obviously, but I kind of just want to see. I'm always interested to see the whole layout. Like, what's the deal? Like, what is it going to look like? So we'll do that, and it's NBA basketball, and it's NBA basketball, period. So if it's preseason or regular season, it doesn't really matter. It's basketball at the end of the day. So we'll talk about all that stuff. A packed sports weekend starting tonight, all ahead of us, so should be good. So with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So last night the Los Angeles Rams absolutely embarrassed the New England Patriots 24-3. The Rams moved 9-4 in the season, and the Patriots fall to an ugly 6-7 on the season. I got my game pick yesterday correct, which moves me to 1-0. On the week 14, which is always good. I've always said this is always good to start off on a high note. If you start off 0-1, then you're already behind. So obviously, always good to start off on a high note and go 1-0. That moves me to 133-68. No big changes, just one extra win. So like I said, with all 16 teams playing this week, there's a big chance for me really to get my record even higher. There's a big chance I could very well get, with all 16 games, there's a big chance of me getting possibly like 12 wins or 13 wins even. There's a very big chance of that happening, and that would be great to really just jolt up my wins. So we'll have that for the next couple of weeks until obviously the postseason starts. So yesterday the Rams dominated from start to finish. The Los Angeles Rams, just destroyed the New England Patriots. And I'll tell you this, to put it into short, to kind of shorten it up, I thought the Patriots just did not, I think this might be the worst performance I've seen out of the Patriots this entire season. And there's been some bad performances. This might be the worst. Let me think. I'm trying to see here. You had the 49ers game, now was horrendous. The 49ers game was just awful, right? So, the 49ers game was awful. They ended up losing that game. The late game mistakes in the Bills game, the Cam Newton fumble was horrendous. So, there's that I guess you could say there's way too many late game mistakes in that game. Just dumb mistakes that are going to lose you any game against any team. But in terms of entire game, this might be single-handedly the worst performance I have seen the Patriots make in a very long time. And I love watching the Patriots get destroyed like that. I do. I cannot stand Belichick. I don't like the Patriots. Patriots and the Jets, just don't like them. I think a lot of people can relate. I don't mind Cam. I don't mind Cam. I think he's funny. I don't mind him. I don't really mind him that much. I liked him much better when he was with the Panthers than when he was with the Patriots now. I still like him, I guess, a little bit, Cam Newton. He does a lot off the field. He's a good guy overall. I know a lot of people hate him, but if you really look into what he does a lot of off the field stuff. He's a good guy overall. But since he joined the Patriots, I can't root for really anyone on the Patriots. I'm sorry. I just can't. It's just tough. I just can't do it. So the Patriots last night just looked horrendous, and Cam Newton did not look good. And we've said this. I've said this so many times. I've said this a couple times now. I said this yesterday in my keys to the game. They're not going to dominate you in the passing game. If anything, it's going to be the run game. And I exactly was correct yesterday. They threw the ball 16 times with Cam, 7 with Stidham, and it was a recipe for disaster. Cam Newton only threw the ball 16 times for 119 yards and an interception. Okay, the Patriots have more wins than they do touchdown passes. Total, between Stidham and Cam, they have more wins than they do touchdown passes. Cam has thrown 5 touchdown passes. They have 6 wins. That's pretty sad. That's a pretty sad stat. It really is. It really is. Because you assume if you win a game, your quarterback probably throws at least 1 touchdown. That's not the case with the Patriots. That's not the case. The Patriots looked ugly last night. And the Rams defense just looked insane. And the Rams defense sacked Cam Newton and Stidham a combined 6 times yesterday. And I said this yesterday. If you want any way whatsoever to try and upset the the upset the Rams, you have to stop Aaron Donald. Guess what the Patriots didn't do yesterday? Stop Aaron Donald. 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 1 solo tackle, and 2 total tackles. Okay? 1.5 sacks, people. And the amount of the quarterback pressures he had yesterday was through the roof, too. Almost every play, he was near Cam Newton. The Patriots did everything they needed to do right. They did it wrong. And they did it badly wrong. It wasn't like, they were a little off. It wasn't like, they stopped, Aaron Donald. It wasn't like, we stopped Aaron Donald for the most part. No, Aaron Donald was pretty much in Cam's face almost every single play. Everything that could have went wrong for the Patriots yesterday went wrong. And that's why the score was what it was. And as for the Rams, I think the Rams might have the best defense in the NFL. I know everyone's talking about the Steelers. I know that. I understand. The Steelers are on this high pedestal all of a sudden. And I will say, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, guys like that, Stephon Tuitt, Joe Hayden, Minka Fitzpatrick, guys like that, they're all probably top 10, top 5 at their position, the Steelers' defense. I will agree with that. The Steelers have a very good offense. But what I've seen the past 5-6 weeks, and especially last night, because I don't usually watch the Rams too often, because usually I'm watching the Jets and stuff. When I watch the Rams play, every single game, their defense goes out and plays well. And Aaron Donald, and Jalen Ramsey yesterday too. He had a little bit of a quiet game. He didn't have an amazing game, but it's because they've got other surrounding good guys. You don't need your superstars to always have an insane game. The Rams defense, I think, is by far either the best or the second best. I think they might have bumped in front of the Colts. I really do. They might have what I saw yesterday. And the Patriots, like I said, they had to find a way to run the ball. And the Rams had to find a way to stop the run. Guess what? The Rams stopped the run. The Rams, I said, we're going to have no problem stopping the pass. Guess what? They stopped the passing game. And en route to a 24-3 victory. The Rams now move to 9-4 in the season. Patriots fall to 6-7. Rams, Jared Goff went 16-25, 137 yards, 8.6 to his average, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, a sack, and a rating of 74.9. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't bad, but it was a quality start. It got the job done. Cam Akers had a big game. Talk about having a big game. I mean, this guy had 29 carries all by himself. 29 carries, 171 yards, 5.9 was his average. Jared Goff had 1 touchdown. He had more carries than Jared Goff did passing attempts. And I think part of that was because this game was over by the second half, so they really started to juice the clock. Higbee had 2 catches for 34 yards. Kupp had 5 catches for 33 yards, including the really nice toe drag touchdown he had. Woods didn't have a great game. He had 5 catches for 32 yards. Nothing amazing, but still, obviously was enough to get the job done. An insane sack night for this team. Young had a sack. He also had an interception, a pick six. He had a big day. Young had a sack. Malcolm Brockers, probably the second best guy on that defensive line, had 2 sacks. Floyd had a half a sack. Fox had 1 sack. And obviously, like I said just a minute ago or two, I said that Donald already had 1.5 sacks. So a big game for him. And Goff was really able to be protected. Only 1 sack Goff intook yesterday. And obviously the 1 sack was Cowart for the Patriots. But as for the Patriots, Cam Newton went 9-16, 119 yards, 13.2 was average, an interception. He took 4 sacks, 53.9 was his average. Stidham went 5 for 7, 27 yards, 5.4 was average, 2 sacks, 77.7. Was his rating. Sometimes these coaches, and I'm not trying to pick on Bill Belichick because he's an insane coach, but a lot of times these coaches, and they do it because, it's obviously they're getting blown out. But sometimes it could add a little bit of a spark, too. If your starter's really struggling, you have no momentum going, everything is going wrong for you. If you do put in your backup quarterback, things, could possibly get better, but Stidham just looks horrendous. I think the Patriots, the best thing for them to do is draft a quarterback. And that might sound Captain Obvious, but a lot of people have them actually bring Cam Newton back. I don't think you bring Cam Newton back. not just the fact that Cam Newton's not playing that well, I just don't think this whole Cam Newton, Bill Belichick combo is working out very well. I just don't. And that's what I said going into the beginning of the season. Is, like, they have two different people. Like, I don't know, Cam Newton's this superstar, this guy that's always put on a high pedestal, I dress up insanely nice and stuff. And then you got Bill Belichick, who kind of just runs under the radar, does his thing, and is considered one of the greatest. So this whole Cam Newton-Belichick relationship just isn't working. I think the best thing for the Patriots to do, and I know everyone says Stidham might be the answer. No, you don't do that. Get rid of Stidham, or keep one of them, but maybe keep Stidham as a backup. Get rid of them, bring in a new quarterback. Zach Wilson out of BYU could be one. Trey Lance out of North Dakota State could be one. Someone like that. Damian Harris had 11 carries for 50 yards, 4.5 was his average. Just not good for the Patriots yesterday. N'Keal Harry had 3 catches for 49 yards. Bird had 5 catches for 48 yards, and Myers had 4 catches for 37 yards. I mean, you wonder, and like I said before, Goff had a touchdown as well. You wonder if not all of this is on Cam, because we saw last year with Brady too. Is like, this receiving core is a no one. They got really no tight end. Okay, they really don't have a tight end. They don't really have a that number one receiver. You could say Julian Edelman, but first thing, he's on the IR. Second of all, the guy has never made it to a Pro Bowl. The guy's numbers in the regular season have always been at the bottom of the league. It's in the postseason is when he comes alive and he comes and ultimately helps the Patriots win. It's not the regular season. They don't have that one receiver like a Gronkowski that's always reliable. It's almost a new receiving combo every single week. Like, you would never think you'd be saying this for the New England Patriots, but, like, I think they just got to completely strip down, personally. I think they just got to completely restart. Bring in a new quarterback, and I don't want to say bring in a new coaching staff, but maybe Belichick makes some moves around him. Maybe have Belichick make some moves, whether that's firing someone or whatever. Make some moves, bring in a new quarterback, bring in some new young guys, find your number one receiver in the draft, and maybe use Cam Newton and those guys like that as trade bait and get draft picks out of it. Something like that. That, I think, is what the Patriots got to do. The Rams win 24-3. Now let's get into our NFL Sunday game picks. Here we go. A lot of good games this weekend. I know I say that almost every weekend, but in terms of, I don't know how to say this. A lot of times you could have a good game that is like, a good game could be like, the Chiefs, I don't know. Anyone, like a Chiefs Saints, that would be probably a pretty good game. But in these games, they don't always have the best teams in it. But a lot of these games have a lot on the table, a lot in stake. For example, the Giants-Cardinals. That game's huge for both teams. If the Cardinals lose, they're 6-7. Their playoff hopes might be completely out the window. And if the Giants lose, then Washington could very well take over the division. That game's a big game. Chiefs-Dolphins. If the Chiefs lose, they've already clinched a playoff spot. It doesn't really hurt them. But the Dolphins, they're still trying, they're in the playoffs right now, but it's not secure. They're trying to win that division, and also they're still trying to, get some more wins, and they're still trying to hold their spot in that playoff. So if they lose, that could make things interesting. Titans, Jaguars. Not saying that the Jaguars are going to beat the Titans, but the Titans, coming off of an awful loss, if they somehow mess up on this game and lose again, their playoff spot's now dwindling a little bit. Buccaneers, Vikings. I think if the Vikings want any real shot at making the playoffs, they've got to win tomorrow. And I think if the Buccaneers want any real shot of making the playoffs too, they got to win tomorrow or on Sunday as well. I think this is a must-win game for both teams. Colts, Raiders. If the Colts lose and the Raiders in, boom, just like that, 2 8-5 teams. If the Raiders lose and the Colts win, then Colts are really up there. And now the Raiders make things interesting with the Ravens. So that's another big game. Washington 49ers. Not really big for the 49ers, but if Washington wins and the Giants lose, Washington's the division leader. Steelers, Bills. I mean, if somehow the Dolphins go into Kansas, or Dolphins somehow beat Kansas City and the Bills lose against the Steelers, which is definitely a possibility, all of a sudden that division's up in the air again. That's a big game. Very well, the Bills can pretty much clinch it. Tomorrow, on Sunday, technically the Bills can clinch, I think, but they need help. But, obviously, and the Ravens-Browns too. If the Ravens still want to try to get back into the playoff race, they're 7-5 right now. If they still want to get back into the playoffs, that's almost a winnable game for them. A very winnable game, a very, very needed win for them against the Browns. And if the Browns want to continue to hold their spot, they got to win. So, it might not be the most fabulous games. Like, you look at the Chiefs-Dolphins and you're like, oh, that's a bad game. But realistically, that's a very big game for the Dolphins. You might look at the Niners-Washington game and say, oh, 2 below 500 team, that game stinks. Not necessarily, because both teams are obviously, the Washington's still fighting to win the division. Niners really aren't. But still, anytime you can get a win is always a good thing. So, and Colts Raiders, that might not be the most fabulous game to watch, but if the Raiders lose, their playoff spots they're slipping, they're losing grip every time they lose of their playoff spot. So, in terms of quality of games and meaning of games, I think this is one of the better weeks. So here we go. Let's get into it. I'm going to try to be quick with this because I've already spent 21 minutes, but let's get into it anyway. Here we got first game up. We got the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. Panthers come into this game 4-8. They're 2.5-point favorites. Broncos come into this game 4-8. The over/under is set at 45.5. To be honest, if I was a Broncos fan last week, I understand you lost. I understand, Drew Lock threw the game, losing interception. I understand that. But to come out there with a lot of inactives, with an unhealthy team, and bring that Chiefs game into the fourth quarter where you only lost by 6, I loved the effort I saw out of this Broncos team last week. I really do. I really liked what I saw out of this team. Especially their defense. Their offense was still a little choppy, but all around, I really liked what I saw of this Broncos team last week. Even though they lost, they made it close. It literally came down to the final drive against probably, in my opinion, the best team in all the league and against the best quarterback in all the league in Patrick Mahomes. This team fought last week. This team battled. As for the Panthers have had an interesting season. They've had a whole lot of up and downs. We were talking about, just like a month ago, we were talking about this team possibly taking the division, and now we're not. This is another team that's coming off of a tough loss against the Vikings. They lost by 1, obviously. Then they had a bye week. They let it stew. They're coming out. I think they're really angry after that 1-point loss against the Vikings. Obviously, it stayed with them. It's tough to go into a bye week after a loss like that. They're going to come out firing. I give the Panthers a win here. I think it's going to be very close, though. 24-21, I think the Panthers win. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's really going to be a battle of the defenses at the end of the day, and I take the under on the over-under 45. And I do think the Panthers cover, but just barely cover. 24-21, I think the defenses are going to come out strong because neither offense, in my opinion, is really that good. Next up, Giants-Cardinals. We'll talk about it. Chiefs. Next up, we got the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Chiefs come into this game 11-1. Dolphins come into this game 8-4. Chiefs are 7.5-point favorites. The over-under is set at 50.5. A lot of people are saying expect this one to be a high-scoring affair. A lot of touchdowns, and a couple more touchdowns to add on to that. A lot of people are expecting Tua and Mahomes to have good games. It's the battle between Tua and Mahomes, the two youngsters. What a lot of people think is the future of the NFL. I would tend to probably agree with them. I think Tua, Burrow, Herbert, Mahomes are going to be the next, stars in this league. Based off of what I've seen through Mahomes' first couple years of his career and what I've seen this year out of Herbert and Tua, he hasn't had the best stat line, but he's been winning games for the Dolphins. I've said this all along. I think this Dolphins team good. I do think they'll get into the playoffs, and I do think I don't think they're going to do very well in the playoffs, but I think they'll be competitive. I would venture to say at this very moment, I would probably say they would lose first round. I just don't think they're that good because you got to remember this is the same Dolphins team, almost the same Dolphins team that started off the season 2-5, 1-4, or whatever. So it definitely is interesting. I think they're a good team. I think they've got a good defense and stuff. But at the end of the day, and I keep this Chiefs pick pretty short because it's kind of obvious. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, people. This is my Super Bowl favorite. This is this is the team that I have winning the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, I have him winning another MVP. I said this all at the beginning of the year. I said it about a month ago when I did my podcast on my mid-year predictions for who's going to win the divisions, who's going to win the Super Bowl and all that, the playoffs and stuff. If you want to go back and watch the video, you can. I don't know exactly when, just know it's probably about a month ago. Right, so, that kind of stuff. I did it. I said the Chiefs are going to win it all. I have them doing it. I think this Dolphins team's good, not good enough to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Chiefs win 31-24. I think it's going to be relatively close. Actually, no, 35-24, actually. 35. We'll give them a little bit more space. I don't know if it's going to be that close, but 35-24. And that would to put me over on the over-under of 50.5. I have the Chiefs winning and covering. Next up, we got the Cowboys and the Bengals. Cowboys come into this game 3-9. Bengals come into this game banged up, injured at 2-9-1. Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites. Bengals are over on the Bengals. Come in obviously 3.5-point underdogs, and the over/under is 42.5 for this game. I'll tell you what, this in terms of games that mean absolutely nothing, this is probably one of the games. Actually, you could say the Texans and the Bears too. I would venture to say too. And the Seahawks Jets for the most part. Now, if somehow the Seahawks lose, their playoff hopes and their division hopes just slipped a whole lot more. So in terms of the Seahawks big game, the Jets, yeah. But in terms of the Jets, the game means absolutely nothing. I think this Cowboys, Bengals, and the Texans Bears are probably the two most who wins, it doesn't matter. Even you could say, the Bears, it does, because then they would move to 6-7. No, I don't want to hear it. They're not making the playoffs, okay? This offense is horrendous. And maybe the Falcons, Chargers, too, because that's another bad game. Saints, Eagles, yeah. I think that's another bad one, too. I didn't think the Saints right now, at least, I guess you could say in terms of meaning the Saints just to keep the win streak going. But let's get back into this game. So the Cowboys do come in this game 3.5-point favorites. I said it on, when did the Cowboys play? Tuesday? I said it on the podcast on Wednesday. I don't think the Cowboys offensively didn't play that bad on Tuesday against the Ravens. I think a lot of people probably could agree with me. Comment down below if you do. Some may disagree, but all you really have to do is look at the numbers, and it's there that they didn't play that bad against the Ravens. And I don't want to sit here and say that the Ravens have the best defense in the world. They don't really have, their defense is they're not amazing. They have a pretty good defense, so, it's understandable why an offense went up against an defense and had an game. That kind of tends to happen a lot. I did like what I saw last week out of Elliott. I did like what I saw last week out of Dalton, to be honest with you. I know they lost and they got beat pretty badly. And they still stink, but Dalton played he had a quality game, and Elliott had a decent game as well. And this Bengals defense is so bad, and I think the Cowboys defense is so bad too. This is the battle of bad teams. This game means absolutely nothing. To all those people out there who still think the Cowboys can somehow win the NFC East, the chances are slim to none. They pretty much have to win outright. And that includes winning outright against some tough opponents. That includes winning outright against the team, against the Eagles or against the Giants, which I think will probably beat them as well. So I think they have to win outright. But I do think the Cowboys win tomorrow or on Sunday. I don't know why I keep on saying tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. But yeah, I think the Cowboys will win on Sunday against the Bengals. I just think the Bengals are just so bad. Brandon Allen, that defense, that offense, they're just so bad. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. 17-14, give me the Cowboys. I don't think they cover, but I think it's going to be close. And I take the under on the over-under of 42.5. Cowboys win. I have not picked the Cowboys. I picked the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. I probably should not have done that, though. That was not a good idea. But, yeah, other than that, though, I think the Cowboys do win. I just think the Bengals are so bad. Both teams are very bad, but I think if you had to give the edge to someone, it would be the Cowboys. Next up, we got the Texans and the Bears. Texans come into this game 4-8. Bears come into this game 5-7. Texans are 1.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 46 for this game. Texans coming off of a very tough loss to swallow, a very tough one. The Texans are coming off of a very, very, very tough loss, to say the very least. A lot of verys there. A really, really, really bad loss for the Texans. They blew it late. Mistakes late hurt them. They had it in their hands to keep the playoff hopes alive, and they let it go late against a good Colts team, like I've noted a couple times in this podcast. The Colts are a pretty good team. They almost had it. Okay, I think the Texans win this game. I know if you look on paper and you look at the records, you would say the Bears, but this Bears team is horrendous. I'm sorry, this Bears team is awful. Nothing's going right for them. They're on a 6-game losing streak. Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles, whoever's in at quarterback is not going to get the job done. Texans win this game, and they win big. 31-14, Texans win. And I would take the under on the over-under of 46, and I think the Texans cover easily. I don't know why this spread's so close. I mean, the Bears are such an awful football team. They are so bad. The worst 5-win team I've ever seen. Bold statement right there. Next up, we got the Titans and the Jaguars. Titans come into this game 8-4. Jaguars come into this game at an awful 1-11. Titans are 7.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 52.5 for this game. Okay, this one's simple. I don't really have to cover this one. Jaguars stink. Titans are a pretty good football team. I give the Titans the win 35-10, and I take the under on the over/under 52.5. One thing I will say about Jaguars is they have been competitive in their games. I mean, they lost in overtime last week, which was competitive, and then they lost by 4 against the Packers. They have been competitive. It's just the Jaguars. I just can't say that the Jaguars are only going to lose by 3. I just can't say that. I know they might, but it's just something. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me to say a 1-11 team is going to lose to an 8-4 team by 1 point. I just don't know if that's really the right thing to say. But yeah, I do give the Titans the win here. Coming off of a bad loss against the Browns, they got crushed. They're going to be angry. They're going to go right at this defense, and they're going to dominate. Titans win. Next up, this game is I think this is a pretty intriguing game. In terms of also things that are on the table. Okay, the Vikings come into this game. Buccaneers come into this game 7-5. They're 6.5-point favorites. And the Vikings come into this game 6-6, and the over/under is 52.5. Okay, this game in terms of meaning has a whole lot. If the Vikings win this game, there would be 7-6. And they would then be on their way to Chicago, which I would imagine that would be a very easy win, which would then put them at 8-6. Then they have the Saints, they probably lose. Then they have the Lions, that's a win. If they win this game, they probably finish 9-7, which just barely might be enough to get into the playoffs, to squeak in to the wild card round. Just might be barely enough to squeak into the wild card round. If the Buccaneers lose, they move to 7-6. Okay. They now have the Falcons, which is a very easy teams to beat, which would then put you at 10-6 or 10-6. If the Falcons, if the Buccaneers win, then they probably have, they probably go 11-5 then. But I mean, it's the truth though. It's a big game for the Vikings. It really is. I think this game's really their season right here, because you assume if you lose, you're 6-7. And then next week, you probably lose against the Saints, so you're 6-8. And then what? You're going to beat, right? Hold on. No. You're 6-7 now. Then you play the Bears, that's 7-7. And you lose to the Saints, that's 7-8. You probably beat the Lions, but that's 8-8. It's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to make the playoffs. It's a big game, though. It's a big game. I think more for the Vikings because the Buccaneers with their schedule. But I think it's going to be a very close game. I really do. I give the Buccaneers the win. I think it's going to be very close. I think 28-24. I don't think they cover. What I've seen out of this Buccaneers team has been a whole lot of ugly. And what I've seen out of this Vikings team has been a lot of ugly, too. Neither of these teams do I really, really think are going to go far if they do make the playoffs. No, I don't think either of these teams are going to go far to make the playoffs, as I wouldn't be surprised if neither of them even make the playoffs. I have not seen anything really good out of the Buccaneers this season. I would venture me to say that they would make it to a championship game or a division game or whatever. And the Vikings, they've had some bad losses here and there. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do give the Buccaneers the win, 28-24. Which would then put me at exactly to 28 plus 20. That's 48. That's plus 4. I take the under on the over-under 52.5. Next up, we got the Colts and the Raiders. This is a big game as well. Colts come into this game 8-4. Raiders come into this game 7-5. Colts are 3-point favorites. The over/under is 52. Okay, I'm gonna be quick with this game too because I think this is a pretty easy pick for me. What I saw last week out of the Raiders was not a playoff team. Was not a good team. They barely beat the New York Jets. I understand a win is a win, but when you play like that against an at the time 0-11 football team, now 0-12 football team, probably the worst team I have ever seen play football before. Okay, when you play against them like that, okay, when you play like that against them, it was a horrendous performance by the Raiders. Yes, they did win, but that's also because it's the Jets. Yes, I understand they won, but for the Raiders, it did not look good last week. I don't like it. Carr had a couple bad throws. Carr did not he looked shaky in the pocket. And as for the Colts, their defense are going to make him even look more shakier. A very good defense. Top 5 probably in the league. Maybe only behind the Rams and the Steelers, but still, they're up there in the defenses for the Rams and the Colts. I don't think their offense is that good, but I think it's better than the Raiders. I shouldn't say it's better than the Raiders. I just think if you had to compare the two, Colts are the better team here. I give the Colts the win. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, 24-17, Colts win. And that would put me at the under on the over-under of 52. Next up, we got the Falcons and the Chargers. Falcons come in this game 4-8, and the Chargers come into this game 3-9. Falcons are 2-point favorites. The over-under is 49.5. Okay, last week the Chargers got blown out of water. They lost 45-0. Okay, I know a lot of people would go on a podcast, on a broadcast, on anything right now and go ahead and say that they're going to win because they're angry about that loss and they're going to try to go out there and win. I don't believe that. What I heard and saw in the highlights last week out of this Chargers football team was the worst performance of Justin Herbert's young career and the worst performance I've seen this Chargers team make in a very long time. Probably the worst in the Anthony Lynn era, which has been 2-3 years with him at coach. I think Lynn's out this year, out after this season. I do think this is going to be a close game, but I do give the Falcons the win. I think the Falcons cover, but it's going to be a close game. I give the Falcons the win 28-21, and that would put me at the under on the over-under. Or actually, the under on the over-under 49.5. Give the Falcons the win. What I saw last week out of the Chargers was just awful, and the Falcons' offense is pretty good. Next up, we got the Packers and the Lions. Packers come into this game 9-3. Lions come into this game 5-7. Packers are 7.5-point favorites. The over-under is 55. It's another simple one to pick. It's another very, very, very easy one. Packers win. Okay, the Lions stink. And guess what? One more stink. The Lions stink. Or two more stinks. The Lions just aren't a good football team. They just aren't. And I know some people could sit here and say, the Packers have struggled against some bad teams, barely beat the Jaguars, things like that, barely beat the Jaguars and stuff like that, what's it called? Lost to the Vikings, teams like that and stuff like that. The Eagles almost made a comeback on them and all that stuff. I understand all that stuff. Also, barely beat the Falcons. It was close there too. I could understand all that stuff because a couple of the games have been very, very, very rough for the Packers. They do come out with wins, but they're close. I don't think this is going to be close. Rodgers and Devontae Adams, the connection has been unreal this season. I think the Packers win, and I think they win big time. 38-17, Packers win big time. And I take the 38-17, that's 455. I take the exactly right on the over-under. So I think the Packers win, and I think they cover very easily. Next up, we got the Saints and the Eagles. Saints come into this game 10-2. Eagles come into this game 3-8-1. The over-under is 45.5. I know there's a lot of people talking about, Jalen Hurts, gonna lead a comeback, almost led a comeback last week, this, and this. Okay, no, Jalen Hurts is not going to get the job done. I'm not trying to say Jalen Hurts is not a good player. He's just not going to get the job done. Okay, this is a good defense for the New Orleans Saints. It's a good overall team for the New Orleans Saints. And what I've seen the past couple weeks out of Taysom Hill has been a very, very good play. him filling in for Drew Brees has been very good. And I'll tell you what, Taysom Hill is showing a lot of other GMs, a lot of other teams around the league that he can really play quarterback and he can really be a solid quarterback. He's had a couple very, very good weeks for the New Orleans Saints. I think this thing stomp all over the Eagles. I think they win 42-21, and that would put me at the over-under of 42.5. Take the over on the over-under 42.5, and I think the Saints cover very easily. All this Jalen Hurts talk is just, to me, I don't believe it. 31-21. Actually, 31-14. Okay, we'll put it a little lower. And I take the over on the over-under 42.5. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be a good... I don't want to sound like I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be good. I think Jalen Hurts will be a good quarterback. But in his first game against the Saints defense, I just don't... Against the Saints team that's rolling right now, I just don't foresee it happening. Next up, we got the Washington and the 49ers. Niners come into this game. Washington comes into this game 5-7. Niners come into this game 5-7. Both 5-7 teams. Niners are 3-point favorites. The over/under is 43.5 for this game. Okay, what I saw last week out of the Washington football team was a playoff performance, was a very good performance, was an NFC, a division winning performance last week out of the Washington football team. That's what I saw last week. I saw a good performance out of Alex Smith. I saw a good performance by the defense, Montez Sweat, Kendall Fuller, Chase Young, guys like that, Brandon Bostic. I saw a good performance coming in for Peyton Barber. McLaurin didn't have his best game, but still made some catches. Sims made a couple very good catches. What I saw last week out of this team was a very good performance, and I'll tell you what, they're going to repeat that on Sunday, this Washington team is. What I seen out of the 49ers was getting crushed last week and getting crushed a couple more times this year. Too many injuries. Nick Mullins is not the answer. Washington wins 28-21. They win. All right, 24-17 actually. They win. Now I take the let's see. Take the 24-17, let's see. 41. Okay, so I take the under on the over-under of 43.5. Washington wins. I just think they win. I really do. I mean, they've looked so good. Washington wins. Next up, we got the Bills against the Steelers. Bills come in this game 9-3. Steelers come in this game 11-1. Bills are 2-point favorites. The over/under is 48 for this game. Okay. The Bills played very good football last week. The Steelers did not. The Bills' offense looked very good last week. The Steelers did not. The Bills' defense looked very good last week. The Steelers did for the most part, but still could not win the game. Okay. I've said this so many times about the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the most overrated 11-1 team I have ever seen. Okay, the most overrated 11-1 team I have ever seen. Okay, I'm taking the Bills to win this game. I think they cover 21-10. They cover. They win. Take the under on the over-under 48, and I think the Bills win and they cover. That's my game pick there. And then obviously the Ravens-Browns game's on Monday night, obviously. So, now, let me just run through my game picks, and I'll go through the Jets and the Giants again. I got the Panthers winning, Chiefs winning, Cowboys winning, Texans winning, Titans winning, Buccaneers winning, Colts winning, Falcons winning, Packers winning, Saints winning, Washington winning, and the Bills winning. Geez, I noticed something. I've got a lot of road teams winning. Holy moly. I've got the Chiefs winning. They're on the road. Cowboys winning on the road. Texans winning on the road. Titans winning on the road. Colts winning on the road. Falcons winning on the road. Packers winning on the road. Saints winning on the road. Washington winning on the road. And then Bills not. And I'm going to tell you this. I do predict the Cardinals to win against the Giants. I'm going to spoil it. That's out of the 16 games, 10 of them I have road teams winning. I know I spoiled it, but I think you kind of knew where I was going to with that pick. The Jets are not going to win on the road. I'll tell you that for sure. So 10 out of these 16 games this week, I have winning on the road. That's pretty crazy. That means it might not be a good if if everything goes as planned, it's not going to be a good day for home teams. I mean, if you look at the home team, though, like the Jaguars are the home team, the Raiders, the Chargers, like these are bad teams. Like the Lions, like these are bad teams. It's not like I have like the Dolphins are a good team, but it's not like I have like a good game like the Chiefs, Seahawks, and the Seahawks are home. Like a lot of these home teams are just like Eagles, Niners. They're all bad. But yeah. Anyway, so now let's move into the Jets game here. The Jets come into this game. This is on 4:05 p.m. Eastern time. 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CBS. Seahawks come into this game 13.5-point favorites. Over/under is 47 for this game. The Jets are going to get absolutely smoked. Let me put it to you, okay? I understand all this talk about, the Jets this, Jets that, about. I get the talk last week about, the Jets played well last week, but they lost. Okay, I understand all this talk about, the Seahawks, they lost to the Giants last week. They stink. They might choke this game. No, they aren't. First of all, okay, it's the New York Jets. They're not going to win. Second of all, it's the Seahawks against this Jets secondary. I understand the Jets are getting Bless Austin back, but now the Jets are down a receiver and maybe even two receivers, okay? And the Seahawks are coming off a very frustrating loss. They're going to be frustrated. They're going to dominate the Jets. And you want to know what also isn't good for the New York Jets? Is that the New York Jets are going into this game off of a loss like they did last week. They haven't got their minds off of it. I can just feel it. They have not. They're going to get crushed. Seahawks win this game 42-10. Take the over on the over-under 47. I think the Seahawks cover. Jets are going to get crushed. That's all I'm saying. League rankings, Jets are 32nd in points per game. Seahawks are 4th. Points per game allowed, Jets are 30th. Seahawks are 22nd. Total yards per game, Jets are 32nd. Seahawks are 8th. Pass yards per game, Jets are 31st. Seahawks are 7th. Rush yards per game, Jets are 19th. Seahawks are 13th. Yards per game allowed, Jets are 29th. Seahawks are 31st. And, it's pretty awful, to say the very least. It's really awful for the New York Jets. And the suffering will continue for the New York Jets. Next up, we got the New York Giants and Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals come into this game 3-point favorites. This game is at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Cardinals come into this game 3-point favorites. Giants come into this game obviously 3-point underdogs. The over/under is 45.5 for this game. And I understand there's been a lot of people talking about the Giants and they beat the Seahawks and they beat this team, beat that team. They've been competitive. I'm going to take the Cardinals here. I think they win 28, or I think they win 24-17. I think it's going to be a close game. 24-17. Okay, this is an odd, team for the. I think this is an odd team. I take the under on the over/under 45.5, and I think the Cardinals cover. I think they win. This is an odd, Cardinals team because they're good one week and they really struggle the next week. But I don't know. Just something about the Giants coming off of a big win. Not really sure if they're going to really be able to turn their focus 100% on this game. And the Cardinals being that they have dropped so many games. They've dropped 3 in a row, 4 of their last 5. Okay, being that they've dropped so many of these games, dropping up against teams that they can beat. They can beat the Patriots, we all know that. They can beat the Dolphins. They can beat, the Rams are tough to beat, but they even shown, they showed us early on in the year that they could beat the Seahawks. They're dropping games that they can be winning. That's a frustrating part for a team, and many teams take that as fuel and completely dominate. I have them winning 24-17. Cardinals winning. I have the Cardinals winning 24-17 there. Points per game, Cardinals are 9th. Giants are 30th. Points per game allowed, Cardinals are 14th. Giants are 9th. Total yards per game, Cardinals are 4th. Giants are 31st. Pass yards per game, Cardinals are 18th. Giants are 29th. Rush yards per game, Cardinals are 3rd. Giants are 11th. Yards per game allowed, Cardinals are 18th. Giants are 10th. So I've got the Cardinals winning there. These are my game picks, obviously. Jets lose. Panthers winning. Cardinals winning. Chiefs winning. Cowboys winning. Texans winning. Titans winning. Buccaneers winning. Colts winning. Falcons winning. Packers winning. Saints winning. Washington winning. And the Bills winning. One more time. Obviously, Jets losing. Like always, I have the Jets losing. Then the Panthers winning. Cardinals winning. Chiefs winning. Cowboys winning, Texans winning, Titans winning, Buccaneers winning, Colts winning, Falcons winning, Packers winning, Saints winning, Washington winning, and the Bills winning. So those are game picks, and obviously on Monday I'll preview that Ravens-Browns game. That's going to be a good game. So those are your game picks. Coming up next, fantasy football. Alrighty, so yesterday was an interesting day in fantasy football for a couple of reasons. Because one of the reasons was in my one league I dominated, to say the very least. I'm winning right now 20-3, and in my other league I'm winning 3-0, but already one of my receivers gone. 3 points for a receiver is not good. So I'm going to read off the one league, then I'm only winning 3-0 just because that's the league I'm on right now. This is who I've got playing this week. I got Aaron Rodgers, Chris Carson, Austin Eckler, Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, Hunter Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Saints defense, and Daniel Carlson. My bench is Juju Smith-Schuster, DJ Moore, David Johnson, Allen Robinson, Todd Gurley, Rob Gronkowski, and Ronald Jones. I got David Johnson. These are some of the questionables. Chris Carson is questionable still. Carson foot practice in a limited capacity Thursday. John Boyle of the Seahawks official site reports. It is Friday, so it's getting closer. So I'm sure you'll know by today or tomorrow or possibly even Sunday, early on Sunday before the game start, of who's starting and who's not. And as for Ezekiel Elliott calf was limited at Thursday's walkthrough. Michael Galkin of the Dallas Morning news reports. So, keep your eye on that. As for DJ Moore ankle isn't likely to be removed from the reserve COVID-19 list before Sunday's game against the Broncos, according to David Newton of ESPN.com. So more than likely that means he should not be playing. He's still projected to get points. It says he's out though, so just watch out for that. Interim head coach Romeo Cornell, this is on David Johnson. Interim head coach Romeo Cornell said Friday that there's a possibility Johnson personal won't be available for Sunday's game against the Bears. Drew Dowdy of the Texans official site reports. So keep your eye on it. It's gonna get it. Just keep your eye on it, right? Every so often check it. Obviously check it before the game start. But those are all the questionables. So you got one personal and then 3 actual injuries. There, I'm not concerned about Chris Carson or Elliott. Carson, people have been saying he's been battling foot ankle for a little bit, so I'm not really concerned about it. It's not really something new. It's been lingering with him the entire season, so it's not something I'm really worried about. Elliott's is a little interesting. He's actually not been questionable much this season, which is a little interesting, but still. Just keep an eye out for it. Obviously, Robert Woods at 3 points. Some locks I think you got to have in your lineup. There's Rodgers and Adams. I think you have to have them locks. Hunter Henry, I'm still deciding a little bit too. Do I put Gronk in or Henry? I just like Henry against Atlanta's secondary and Atlanta's defense. I just really like that matchup. I know there's definitely a couple of them. And then as for my other league, I'm winning right now 20-0. So in this league, I'm projected to lose 113 to 118, 118 to 113. Hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully I win. I mean, obviously it's a 2-week thing, but if you win the first week, it's a pretty big thing. It's 2 weeks, so we won't find out the winner until 2 weeks from now. So that's my lineup. Hopefully it does good, and hopefully I win. Obviously, like I said, it's 2 weeks, but technically you could say you win if you had the higher amount of points. Hopefully I do good there. Next, my other league, I'm winning right now 20-0. Deshaun Watson, I got Deshaun Watson, Kenyon Drake, James Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Robert Tynan, A.J. Brown. Rams defense already went. Daniel Carlson. On my bench is Hunter Henry, Antonio Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Godwin, Raheem Mostert, and David Johnson. I picked up Tynan off of waivers. He's the 3rd ranked tight end, and he's averaging 7 points a game. And I just really thought that was the right decision. I dropped Cardinals defense, just found there was no use for them, no need for two defenses. So I dropped them, and I picked up Toinen, who I think is going to be solid. I think against Detroit with Rodgers, that's a very favorable matchup. And as for my team here, Kenyon Drake, Drake hip is practicing Friday. Darren Urban of the Cardinals official site reports. A.J. Brown ankle returned to practice Friday. Jim Wyatt of the Titans official site reports. So both positives there. Brown ankle returned, and Kenyon Drake also practiced. Both of them practiced, which is very good news. Gibson's out. Gibson's toe has been ruled out for Sunday's game against 49ers. John Keem of the ESPN.com reports. We were expecting that. Obviously, I already read David Johnson's earlier. So, those are questionables. Really favorable matchups. I love Toinen, and any real Packers player you have, you got to really take them. They're going up against a bad Detroit team in general, and especially a bad defense. Love those favorable matchups. And as for this, I'm projected to beat my opponent 125 to 95, so hopefully that's the case. But that's what I got. That's what I got for fantasy. That's pretty much it. So that's fantasy football overview. Now we move on to college basketball. There's some games on today. North Texas, West Virginia, I give West Virginia to win. Creighton, Nebraska, I give Creighton to win. Kansas, Nebraska, Omaha, I give Kansas to win. Villanova, Georgetown, I give Villanova the win. And Iowa State, give Iowa the win. And as for tomorrow's games, Florida State, Florida, give Florida State to win. Tennessee, Cincinnati, give them to win. For some reason, that's not showing up there. Yeah, tomorrow that game's on. I don't know why it's not showing up. But yeah, let's see. So Florida State, Florida. Let's see. So hold on. So Florida State, Florida. I give Florida State to win. Tennessee, Cincinnati. Give Tennessee the win. Duke, Charleston Southern. That game got canceled. That game got postponed. North Carolina Christian University. I think that's what it is. North Carolina to win. Houston, Rice. That game got postponed. Texas Tech, A&M, CC, give Texas Tech the win. And then Missouri and Illinois, Missouri, I give Illinois the win. And now time for Kentucky. Kentucky against Notre Dame. Kentucky comes in 1-3, and Notre Dame comes in 1-2. Okay, I'm going to take Kentucky to win here. I've very disappointed in what I've seen out of Kentucky the first couple of games. But one thing about Kentucky is they're going against a Notre Dame team that's also 1-2, two unranked teams. And Calipari, coach, there's a thing called Camp Cal. It's something where he really pushes the players, really forces the players into, being better. It's hard practice. It's much harder practice. And actually, the stats show that teams under him get progressively better once he does that. So I give Kentucky the win. We need a win. I mean, we lose, we're 1-4. You could probably forget about our ranks. Maybe even March Madness might be in the dust at this point. We got to find a way to come through and win. And then for college football, today we got some games on today. You got North Texas, UTEP, give North Texas to win. Arizona State to win. And then Nevada, San Jose State, give Nevada the win. And then tomorrow we got all those games. So these are all tomorrow's games. Alabama, Arkansas, give Alabama the win. Georgia, Missouri, give Georgia the win. Northwestern, Illinois, give Northwestern the win. Texas A&M, Tennessee got postponed. Vanderbilt, Missouri got postponed. That game got postponed as well. Coastal Carolina, Troy, give Coastal Carolina the win. Just for Coastal Carolina, though, they're coming off of a big win, against BYU. They're ranked higher now. You just got to watch out. A game that's not really talked about much. You just got to watch out. You got to go, focus there. Iowa, Wisconsin. I give Iowa the win. They're rolling right now. Actually, I'll give Wisconsin the win. Florida, LSU, Florida, I got winning. Oklahoma State, Baylor, got Oklahoma State winning. USC, UCLA, give USC winning. And then BYU, San Diego State. I think BYU is going to be angry after that loss last game, so I give BYU the win. I give Colorado, Utah, give Colorado the win. Now it's time for some good old Miami football. Miami tomorrow comes in at 8-1. North Carolina comes in at 7-3. Miami's 10th ranked team in the nation at 8-1 on the record. They're 3-point favorites. The over/under is 67.5 for this game. Okay, Miami's back home. They're going to be wearing their blackout uniforms. I give Miami the win here. I do. I think they win. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think they win 38-31. Or 35-31. I think it's going to be a very close game. I do think they cover. It's going to be very close. I really do. It's going to be very, very close. 66. So I take the under on the over-under of 67.5, and I think Miami covers. They win 35-31. It's going to be a very close game, high-scoring game, very close game. I get Miami winning. And this game's on 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on ABC. So definitely watch that game. Miami winning. That's what I got. I think Miami wins. It's going to be a very good game. It's going to be a very good game. It's a pivotal game for both teams, really, for both teams. Now I move on to the NBA. We got a couple games on tonight. Knicks Pistons, I give Pistons the win. Hawks Magic, Hawks the win. Rockets Bulls, Rockets the win. Clippers Lakers, Lakers the win. And then Trailblazers Kings, Trailblazers the win. So Pistons, Hawks, Rockets, Lakers, and Trailblazers are all my winners there. Tomorrow, Cavaliers Pacers, give Pacers the win. Raptors Hornets, give Raptors the win. Thunder Spurs, I give Spurs the win. Or Thunder the win. Grizzlies, Timberwolves, I give Timberwolves the win. Mavericks, Bucks, I give Bucks the win. Warriors, Nuggets, Nuggets, no Warriors the win. And then Suns, Jazz, I give Jazz the win. And then on Sunday's game, the Nets, Wizards are also on. I give Nets the win. Hawks, Magic, I'll give Hawks the win. Pistons, Knicks, I'll give Pistons the win. Rockets, Bulls, Rockets the win. Lakers, Clippers, Lakers to win, and Trailblazers, Kings, Trailblazers to win. Yes, the Nets do, in fact, play. That should be fun. That's what you got for the NBA. I think I might be doing something new with the NBA this year for my game picks. Like I would be picking, I think what I'm going to be doing is instead of going through all the games on all the night, I'll be picking 5 games. 5 games that I really feel confident with. And then I might do, one upset pick. Where, if a team's, maybe it's let's say Thunder against the Clippers or something. And the Thunder are underdogs. Give Thunder the win. It wouldn't be, a crazy upset like the Knicks-Lakers. Because the Knicks are awful and the Lakers are obviously the NBA Finals champions. It wouldn't be something like that, but it would be a close upset. But, about picking, 5 prime games. Good games, but games I feel very confident in my picks, picking them every night, and then we'll just go and see what happens in the season. But fantasy basketball soon, I'll be doing that, obviously. So go Nets. But that will do it for the podcast there. Go Jets, go all the sports teams that are playing this week. Got a packed weekend of sports. Kentucky, Miami, Nets, and Jets are all playing. So it's a pretty crazy packed weekend of sports, which should be fun. I'm excited. With all that being said, I will see you all back here on Monday. As you all know, I take breaks on the weekend, so I will see you all back here on Monday. Enjoy your sports weekend. I'll see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.